Have you ever wondered how Portugal, a small nation at the western edge of Europe, managed to build one of the world's most powerful empires? This question takes us back to the dawn of the Age of Discovery. The Portuguese Empire originated at this remarkable time in history, marking the inception of the Kingdom of Portugal's global expansion and influence. The empire was a complex web of overseas colonies, factories, and later territories, all governed by the Kingdom of Portugal. The empire's longevity is a testament to its power, surviving for nearly 6 centuries, one of the longest-lived colonial empires in European history. From the early 16th century, the Portuguese Empire stretched across the globe, establishing footholds in Africa, North and South America, and various regions of Asia and Oceania. It was the spark that ignited Portugal's ascent to a global powerhouse, setting the stage for an era of Portuguese dominance that would span the world and stand the test of time. Thus began the era of Portugal's global dominance, an era that would last for almost 6 centuries. The House of Aviz, a dynasty of Portuguese origin, played a pivotal role in this global expansion, but how did they come to power? This question takes us back to the time of the Renaissance, an era of exploration and discovery, when the House of Aviz, also known as the Joanine dynasty, rose to prominence. The House of Aviz came into power during an exciting period in world history. This was a time of great change, when the old order was giving way to new ideas and opportunities. The dynasty seized these opportunities with both hands, leading Portugal into a golden age of exploration and expansion. Under the House of Aviz, Portugal ascended to the status of a global power. The conquest of Ceuta in 1415 marked the beginning of this ascent. It was the first venture in colonial expansion, setting the stage for a great outpouring of national energy and capital investment. This was the era of the Portuguese discoveries, when new lands were being explored and claimed for the Kingdom of Portugal. The zenith of the Portuguese Empire came during the reign of Manuel I, a member of the House of Aviz. Under his rule, Portugal expanded its power globally, establishing colonies in Africa, Asia, and Brazil. These colonies were not just outposts, they were sources of lucrative resources that were exploited commercially, contributing to the wealth and power of Portugal. However, the glory days of the House of Aviz did not last forever. The reign of John III marked the beginning of the decline of the Portuguese Empire. Despite this, the impact of the House of Aviz on the history of Portugal and the world cannot be underestimated. The House of Aviz was instrumental in transforming Portugal from a small European kingdom into a global empire. They were the driving force behind the Age of Discovery, a period that reshaped the world as we know it today. Under their leadership, Portugal ventured into the unknown, discovering new lands and peoples and establishing trade routes that spanned the globe. With the House of Aviz at its helm, Portugal set its sights on new territories, marking the beginning of its colonial expansion. The dynasty's legacy is a testament to their vision and courage, a testament to the power of exploration and discovery. The conquest of Ceuta in 1415 marked Portugal's first venture in colonial expansion. But what drove this outpouring of national energy and investment? Portugal, a small country at the southwestern tip of Europe, was driven by a multitude of factors. Firstly, the Portuguese had a thirst for exploration. The allure of the unknown, the promise of adventure and discovery, and the potential for fame and fortune were irresistible. This was the dawn of the Age of Discovery, and Portugal was at its forefront. Secondly, the Portuguese were determined to establish direct trade routes to the lucrative markets of Africa and Asia. They sought to bypass the expensive and dangerous land routes controlled by the Ottomans and the Italian city-states. This led to an unprecedented exploration of the African coast, and eventually, the rounding of the Cape of Good Hope. Thirdly, the Portuguese were on a mission to spread the Christian faith. They sought to outflank the Islamic caliphates and establish alliances with any potential Christian states in Asia. Furthermore, the Church was a strong supporter of these voyages, hoping to convert new souls and gain spiritual dominance. The establishment of colonies was a natural outcome of these explorations. These colonies were not just outposts of Portugal, but also centers of trade and missionary activity. They exploited the resources of these territories, from the gold and ivory of Africa to the spices of Asia and the timber of Brazil. While the Portuguese Empire began as a search for access to the gold of West Africa and the Eastern spice trade, it soon evolved into much more. It became a global enterprise, connecting different continents and cultures, and reshaping the world as it was known then. However, The empire's vastness was both its strength and its weakness. Under King Manuel I, the empire reached its zenith, with Portugal becoming a global superpower. But as the empire expanded, so did its challenges. The reign of King John III saw the beginning of its decline, as Portugal struggled to maintain control over its far-flung territories. This period saw the zenith of the Portuguese Empire under Manuel I, and its gradual decline during John III's reign. With a network of carrack ships, Portugal connected Lisbon with its colonies, establishing a global trade network. But what goods were traded, and how did this trade shape the world? At the heart of Portugal's economic success lay the carrack, a vessel that was as much a symbol of Portuguese maritime prowess as it was a workhorse of the empire's global trade network. These ships crisscrossed the oceans, braving tempests and pirates, to connect Lisbon with the far-flung corners of the empire, from the Americas in the west to the Estado da India in the east. The carracks carried an array of goods, reflecting the diverse riches of Portugal's colonies. From Africa, they transported gold and ivory, coveted commodities that fed Europe's hunger for luxury. Asia, particularly China, supplied silk and Ming porcelain, fine goods that were as much a status symbol as they were a testament to the reach of Portugal's maritime network. But the trade was not just in goods. The Portuguese also traded in spices, particularly from the East Indies. These spices, including nutmeg, cloves and pepper, were worth their weight in gold in Europe, where they were used to flavor food, preserve meat, and even as medicine. Another major, albeit dark, aspect of this trade was slavery. People were taken from West and Southern Africa, transported across the Atlantic, and forced to work on plantations in the North Atlantic islands and the Americas. The human cost of this trade was immense, and its impacts are still felt today. Yet the goods and people carried by the carrack ships were more than just cargo. They were the lifeblood of the Portuguese Empire, driving its economy, shaping its society, and influencing the world. The trade routes they established facilitated not just the exchange of goods, but also the exchange of ideas, cultures, and technologies. This global trade network made Portugal a key player in the world economy, shaping global trade patterns for centuries to come. The influence of the Portuguese Empire and its maritime network still resonates today, a testament to the indelible mark it left on the global stage. The Portuguese Empire was built on a quest for gold and spice trade. But what other motivations fueled this colonial adventure? The empire's inception was driven by Portugal's thirst for access to the gold of West Africa and the lucrative spice trade of the East. But this pursuit of wealth was intertwined with a host of other ambitions that propelled the Portuguese across the seas. One such goal was the hope of finding Christian allies in Asia. In an era where Christianity was in constant conflict with the Islamic caliphates, the Portuguese believed that they could discover supportive Christian states in the Eastern world. This was not just a dream of religious unity, but also a strategic move to strengthen their position in the ongoing religious conflicts that marked the period. The empire builders were also spurred on by the allure of new lands. Vast unexplored territories promised not only the expansion of their dominion, but also untapped resources and fertile grounds for agriculture. These lands held the promise of sustaining the growing Portuguese population and bolstering the nation's economy. Then, there was the desire for personal glory and riches. Colonial adventurers sought to etch their names in history, driven by the promise of wealth and fame. Every new discovery, every colony established, was a testament to their daring, and a ticket to a life of affluence. Lastly, the ambitions of missionary work played a significant role. The spread of Christianity was a major objective for the Portuguese. They saw their colonial expansion as a divine duty, a crusade to bring their faith to the farthest corners of the earth. These motivations, coupled with strategic alliances and military prowess, allowed Portugal to build and maintain an empire that left an indelible mark on world history. The Portuguese Empire has left a lasting legacy on the world. But what are some key aspects of this legacy? This legacy is seen most profoundly in the cultural, linguistic, and architectural influence that Portugal left in its former colonies. The Portuguese language is still spoken by millions in Brazil, Mozambique, Angola, and other former colonies. Portuguese colonial architecture, with its unique blend of European and indigenous styles, still graces the landscapes of cities from Macau to Goa. The maritime routes established by the Portuguese remain major arteries of global trade, And the age of discovery they ushered in laid the groundwork for our interconnected, globalized world. Their empire also left a darker legacy of colonization and the transatlantic slave trade, aspects of history that continue to shape global dynamics. From a small nation at the edge of Europe, Portugal rose to become a global power, leaving a lasting imprint on the world stage.